Folks, there's what everyone knows broke means, right? It means you don't have any money, right? All goes to bills. That's what broke really means. But the IRS has a different definition of broke, because you can have no money at the end of the month to pay the IRS. Yet still, the IRS will not consider you broke and will still expect you to pay them something. Why? It all comes down to something called the IRS collections standards, okay? These are basically maximum amounts in various categories the IRS sets and adjusts every year, in which the IRS basically tells you how much they would expect you to spend in each category. And if you spend more than that in each category, well, that's on you. You should downsize your lifestyle, right? For example, all your housing, there's a category for housing expenses, okay? The IRS has a figure for every county in the United States by number of people in the household for how much the IRS thinks you should spend on housing every month, okay? So for example, and I'm just making this up, I don't have the charts in front of me, so I'm just gonna make up a county. Let's pretend you're a family of 4 in Wallaloose County, Kentucky. It's not a real county, I just made it up. IRS would probably have some housing standard there and say, a family of 4 in Wallaloose County, Kentucky should spend no more than $2,500 a month on housing, okay? And that includes not just, your rent and utilities, it includes some other things like your cell phone, right? There's some other things you can throw in there. But if you're spending more than that on housing, the IRS is gonna say, oh, that's your problem, not ours, right? If you're spending $3,500 a month on housing, well, you should go downsize, right? You should go downsize to something where you're only paying $2,500 a month and pay us that $1,000 difference, okay? Other IRS collection standards. There's a national standard for food, clothing, kind of day-to-day items. There's vehicle standards. There's 2 vehicle standards, actually. One for the ownership cost of the vehicle, right? Your monthly lease or financing payment. There's the operating cost standard, which is, your fuel, your insurance, your maintenance. There's a standard for out-of-pocket healthcare costs. How much do you spend out-of-pocket on healthcare? There's a standard for public transportation, right? If you don't have a vehicle, right, how much can you reasonably expect to spend on public transportation, okay? So there's these various standards the IRS has, and that's how they trap you. And that's how they change the definition of broke from what everyone knows broke means to this very specific IRS sanctioned definition of broke. And by using that definition, they can kind of back you into a corner and say, hey, well, you got to pay us. You have the money to. Look at the standards.